Video, I'm going to show you how to install a Johnny bucket onto this Craftsman tractor. Now I've installed this Johnny bucket on another Craftsman tractor I had, and I've also installed another one on a different model. Now I'm going to give you a couple tips and tricks along the way to how to install one of these. So if you do order one, this video should help you out. Now if you look at the website and you look under the Craftsman tractors, it's going to say Craftsman Husqvarna. They're basically the same tractor. They're made on the same assembly line. But in my opinion, Husqvarna has a little bit higher quality parts. Nonetheless, they're the same frame, basically the same tractor. However, on Johnny Bucket's website, it says all models. That is not true. This will not fit on any Craftsman tractor, and it will not fit on any Husqvarna tractor. It basically fits on the upper end tractors, more towards the garden tractor style, like this 5500. Now this was mounted on a 4500 before, and I'm going to show you a 2300 Craftsman that Johnny Bucket says this is supposed to work on, but it won't. So let's go check that out. Now the difference in the frames is this area right here. On the 2300 tractor I'm going to show you, it has a welded tube where it protrudes out, and the Johnny Bucket will not work on that, even though their website says all Craftsman, all models. Husqvarna will be the same way. You need to have one of these kind of garden tractor style tractors where along here is all flush. There's no weld. So I'll go show you the difference in the frames. All right, through here I have my 2300 Craftsman. And if we look down here at the frame, you'll notice that the mounting holes are the same. But you see this welded on piece right here? That Johnny Bucket bracket will not work on this frame. You have to be flush, flat all the way across here. You can't have this protruding. So the Johnny Bucket would not work on this tractor. Here's the Johnny Bucket Junior that I'll be installing. You can see that's my 3 plates that make up the mount. Now I have all the actuators, everything already assembled because I've used this before. Now I'm not going to bore you with a long video on how to put all the actuators on and bolt your Johnny Bucket together. You can just follow the step-by-step guide that comes with the kit. That's the easy part. Let's go ahead and get this bracket started. All right, so now that we know what type of tractor these Johnny Buckets work on, we have the Johnny Bucket, we have the correct mounting bracket for a Craftsman tractor. There's nothing you need to remove on the tractor. Some videos tell you to remove the hood. Absolutely no reason to. You shouldn't have to remove anything. If you're removing parts to bolt this up, something's not right. Maybe you bought one of these used and you're just going to kind of modify it to make a tractor. That's a different story. This is totally bolt on. We're going to go step by step. But here we go. It doesn't matter to me if you want to start on this left side or the right side. There might be a headlight wire that we need to move out of the way on that side over there. But this is going to go on here just like this. I'll bring the camera up close. There's going to be 2 bolts above this axle. They should fit right inside these 2 round holes. And then we're going to install the supplied bolts and bolt this side up. This right here is just going to flip over, and that's what's going to hold the Johnny Bucket in place. So at close-up you can see these 2 bolts right here. They're fitting inside that hole. This is flush along here. And these are the supplied bolts. We're going to have 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll go ahead and go to the other side. All right, so here's an up close view of what this side looks like when it's bolted together. On this side over here, you have this headlight wire. You just want to make sure this is kind of lifted up and out of the way before you put on your bracket. This is what we have right now. I have all the nuts loose because I want to be able to wiggle around the bracket to mount up this front hitch part, which is right there. That's going to be the next piece. And if you tighten those up, that's a little bit harder to move around and get your bolts lined up. Now you have the front mounting plate on. I'm going to bring the camera in up close so you can see what that looks like. And then I'm going to go ahead and tighten up all the bolts. So you have 2 bolts on this side. You have your pin mount up here at the top. And then you have the 2 bolts on that side. Now notice there's a couple other different mounting holes. I think that's going to depend on how big your front tires are to where you want your bucket on your Johnny Bucket. So now I'm going to go ahead and tighten up all of the bolts, and this front hitch mount is all done. Now that all the bolts are tight, I'm going to go ahead and lift up the Johnny bucket into the slots. You have 2 slot positions. Depending on what size your tractor, what size of the front tires, you may have to play with what slot works best with your Johnny bucket. So we're going to go ahead and lift this up inside the slot. This is going to spin around, latch it into place. Camera in up close, you can see what all this looks like. I have the actuator bolted into place, and the latches are right down there on those pins, so the bucket's not going to come off. The only thing left to do is install the wiring. You might be a little bit overwhelmed with the wiring. There's a lot of wire, but it's super simple. You basically just have your positive and negative battery terminals. You got a plug right here for one actuator. You have a plug right here for the other actuator. You got your up-down switch and your tilt switch. So it looks like a lot of wiring, looks like it might be difficult, but it's super simple. Once you get it installed, you're going to think, wow, that was a lot easier than I thought. So we're going to go ahead and route the wiring next. And before I get too far in my wiring, especially if you buy one of these used, maybe you don't have directions, you're going to connect it to your battery. Now you have your 2 toggle switches. You need to know which one's your lift and your tilt. That's going to determine how you want to mount it onto the tractor dash. So I got the battery hooked up. I'm just going to hit one of these and I'm going to find out which one is my lift, which one's my tilt. So I know this is my up down. I'm going to put a piece of tape on here because I'm going to mount it in the dash a little bit differently than the tilt. So once you find the spot in the dash of your tractor where you want to mount this, you're going to need a 1/2 inch diameter hole so this goes up into, and then you can put on the nuts to hold this in place. Alright guys, so I have the up down mounted. You can see the toggle switch is right here. So if I just pull it back and push forward, now we're going to go ahead and mount the tilt. We've got both toggle switches mounted. I just want to double check, make sure everything works before we tuck all the wire away. We're going to use a couple zip ties and get that stuff tucked up out of the way so it doesn't touch the muffler or any moving parts. So just going to give it one last test. This should be up. This should be down. So I'm going to bring it all the way up. Now this should be tilt. This should come back. We'll bring it back down. Everything's working correctly. Let's go ahead and tuck the wire away. All right, I'm going to show you up close how I zip tied these in place. Now I removed the hood so you guys can see a little bit better. I got a zip tie right there. I've got these tied together right here. And there was already a hole in the hitch mount. Right here I have a zip tie. There's already a hole in the frame. As I come along here, I just kind of zip tied them together just to keep the wires together. And then right here, there's already a hole in the frame, zip tied right there. Came up behind the starter wire. There was already a hole right here in the battery holder. So I got a zip tie right there. And they go right up underneath the dash. So here's why I removed the hood so you guys can see the wiring. Now these come with a long wiring, and just in case your battery is mounted underneath the back seat, you have enough wiring to go back to the battery. I could have cut it short, but you never know when I might mount this on something else that has a battery under the back seat. So there's all kinds of space underneath here. I just tucked all the wiring in and out of place. Much done. I'm just going to demonstrate it here one more time. Nice thing about Johnny buckets, you don't have to have the tractor running. It does operate off the battery only. So I'm going to lift up. Go ahead and tilt. I'm going to go ahead and do the full range of motion. Now, if you're not familiar with Johnny Buckets, they do lift about 200 pounds to about 225. They do have the same down pressure. So if you want to back drag, it does have 200 pounds of pressure going downward to back drag dirt. So here's full range of motion. That's pretty much it. If you followed this video and you got yours done all by yourself, gave yourself a pat on the back for a job well done. Now just remember the tips I gave you. These are going to have to mount on more of a garden tractor style tractor. The website says all Craftsman, all Husqvarna. Not true at all. I showed you guys which ones this works on and what it doesn't. If you've never installed one before, give yourself about 2 hours. Don't rush it. It's a very easy install. Especially if you get it brand new out of the box, you're going to have to put a lot of stuff together with the bucket. But a Saturday afternoon, you'll have it all done and working in no time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.